Welcome to another episode, everyone. The Inglewood family Bloods assemble a $6 million robbery team, and they go to work. This is How to Rob, Part 1. Really, the series should be called How Not to Rob. These are LA gang members assembling robbery crews. Again, this comes with a warning, a caveat. All of these individuals have already been arrested. They've been indicted. They've pled guilty or been found guilty. No one is on the run. They're not looking for anyone. I'm not exposing anything. This is all public record. They've already been arrested and found guilty. This is really How Not to Rob. The Inglewood family Gangsta Bloods assemble a $6 million robbery team, and they go to work. Part 1.
Rap News Street Politics, the best hood channel on
Rap News Street Politics, the best hood channel on YouTube. Hard for me to disagree with that. Shout out to Rap News and Street Politics.
On YouTube, back with the flock teams and robbery crews from some of the most notable hoods out here in the city of LA. We had to run it back and re-drop this for y'all. You know, the snitches hit us up on the last upload, got it stripped off YouTube, and we back with it. We hit 140,000 views on the last upload of this. Y'all make sure y'all run it back up. Now, this is the third installment of the mini docu-series we doing on these crews that's doing it up in the city. The first two videos, we bought you a front row seat to the Harlem 30s stripping a jeweler of a $500,000 watch in Beverly Hills. We doubled back to Beverly Hills with the East Side babies coming out of Long Beach in connection with the Park Village Compton Crips, tapping the jewelry store, hitting for $2.6 million, with both of them crews going down in less than a month. Now we about to peel the curtain back with the Crenshaw and Manchester Gangsta Bloods coming out the city of Inglewood on a multi-million-dollar operation that got the ATF an award when they was done putting the pieces together on the Inglewood family Gangsta Bloods and a bunch of different hoods that they recruited to get popping inside jewelry stores throughout LA County, Orange County, and Riverside County. Now, like we said in the last video, we gonna keep upping the ante. These dudes had a multi-year run. And like I said, multi-million-dollar run at that. But we gonna bring y'all as close as possible to these dudes not only running a full-fledged organization, but them also setting each other up, some people doing a whole lot of snitching, and we got an individual that has escaped federal custody June of 2025 and has still not been apprehended, out here ducking his federal sentence imposed on a group called the Time Bandits. Now, you know we gotta hit y'all with the disclaimer. We do not condone the act of any criminal activity or violence on Rap News Street Politics. This is just for education and entertainment only. But we gonna go through their steps, they planning, and watch how they got down, bringing home what the feds say is $6 million over the course of 2 years in smash and grab robberies. This is How to Rob, hypothetically, with the best hood channel on YouTube.
Inglewood family swan to that for Warren CS to JS, Westside BPS, Crenshaw Mafia Lane, and the smell of gang. How the fuck you from the top? You ain't never heard of my name.
With the time being taken at the park, we don't hang with Marks. Brody got kicked out the whip cause he ain't play his part.
Now, when I say team, you know, in the last couple videos, we had somewhat of some crews. 3, maybe 5 dudes jumping out, doing their thing. And like I said, all them dudes went down instantaneously based on the evidence and how they sold themselves up at the scene. Now, what differentiates these dudes from being a crew is the sheer size and organization that the Inglewood families put together on this move. But the IFGs did not come alone. They also employed dudes from Inglewood Neighborhood Piru, Inglewood Avenue Piru, Eastside Carver Park Compton Crip. The Hoovers is around this. Dudes from Eastside Bounty Hunter Watts and the A-Trays was also spoke about in the paperwork. But this was a classic case of some older homies pulling strings at the top and getting young niggas to do their bids for them. So we got to start with the main.
A classic case of older individuals pulling their strings at the top and getting a younger crew to do their bidding for them. But the Gen Z generation are really intellectual. They're really smart. This is just a small percentage that does this sort of stuff right here. A very, very small fraction of the community, of the culture. And it just needs to stop. None of these situations end well. And the older individuals do better. Go out there and do it yourself. Or don't have anyone else doing. Don't have our young people out here doing it. Do it your damn self.
Dude, a member of CMT, Keith Green Eyes Walton, coming out of Inglewood Family Gangsta Bloods. Now, G.I.'s played the role of a planner and a recruiter. Past credentials, the feds allege he's a career criminal, and at the time of this run, he spent half of it in federal custody, and when he got out the feds, he participated and turned the shit all the way up, press and play on these robberies, putting the pieces together. His right hand...
Okay, just like the last one with the armored truck crew, the dudes from West Boulevard and Black Peastone and an individual from East Coast Crip, these are not credentials. These are not credentials. These are not good credentials. All of those individuals had done decades in prison. This individual here has done over half of his life in prison. These are not good credentials. He has a lengthy criminal record. This means this is someone who you don't want on the team. This is someone who you do not want to recruit. You don't want to recruit me. I've done over 30 years in prison. I have a hard time with getting away with things then. These are not good credentials. This is bad.
And man, another top dude in the organization. We got Daryl Dent, who played the role of a planner, recruiter, a scout, and he was the watch connect that dealt closely with the buyer. And he's the one that brought the team aspect to the situation. Daryl Dent is an ex-MLB player who played for the Orioles as well as other teams. But the flocking was always in his trajectory because he was kicked off the Orioles for stealing the teammates' Rolex and writing the teammates' checks in his names and cashing them. So he was made for this from the jump. The next dude we got at the top is the dude from Inglewood neighborhood Piru, Stanley Baldy Ford. Bald head, the oldest member of the crew, sitting at 47 at the time of these robberies. He served as a planner, a scout, but he was the final getaway car driver on these moves, and he also served as a point man, calling the green light when everything was a go for them dudes to run up in the store. Stanley also brought some impressive credentials to the play as well. He was on federal supervised release for armed bank robbery. So these was the three dudes at the top, pulling strings, making sure everything was planned out properly. Now they had somewhat of a starting five of young homies underneath them. Number 1, Tiny Bogey, Robert Johnson from Inglewood Family Gangsta Bloods. He served as somewhat as an on-site manager, planner, recruiter, scout, and a weapons connect. Now, Tiny Bogey's credentials could, some people may say, exceed the others. He was arrested previously 5 different times for separate homicides and attempted murders alleged against him in the past. His first one being when he was 16 for a murder of a female in Inglewood. But check this, his father is an ex-cop, and he's brought his talents to Operation Shatter Glass. Next up, we got Jameson LaForce, aka Janky or J-Bone, 7-7 Inglewood Family Gangsta Bloods. Now, this is the first individual that we gonna speak on who was a torpedo, the runner, one of the dudes that jumped into the store and got cracking, but this is a jack of all trades. Not only was he a runner, recruiter, he was a driver, a scout, and a planner. At 24 years old, he had his hands in everything in this organization. Next up, they had some crippin' on their team as well. Evan Emack Scott, Eastside Carver Park, Compton. He was also a torpedo, but his main role was the gunman. He had the stick and played guard control because of his size, so he was always laying some shit down in the spot. He also was a scout, 27 years old at the time, and he was on parole at this time for robbery. Now we about to go in depth about exactly the role that Emack played, but this is the individual that the Bureau of Prisons alleges escaped federal custody June 2025 and is currently on the run. Now coming up after him is potentially one of the top recruiters. He brought some Hoovers to the play and a lot of different other dudes from the neighborhood on these skits. We got Justin J. Stone Henning, Inglewood Family Gangsta Bloods, torpedo, recruiter, scout at 27 years old. And last but not least, we got Dominic Calloway, aka Bones, coming out of Compton. He was also a torpedo, 26 years old, heavily involved in these moves. Now, it's a lot of dudes that came off the bench from Inglewood families and other hoods throughout the city. We gonna speak on them dudes as they come up, but we gotta put our focus back at the top with how this whole situation got started. And it starts with Daryl Dent and G.I.'s from CMT.
Man, the way he waving that gun around is crazy. He got it all up next to the boy's face, all up next to his shoulder, and he got his finger on the trigger if it go off. No, see, that's why I don't hang out with all of this nonsense, this crazy stuff, man. You got to be careful. These individuals here are some older individuals. All of them have done time as well, and they're they putting together these crews. Hey, you bitches better go get a job, do some content or something, because this right here, gonna have you stuck up here. He already said everyone started snitching. We already know this, or not everyone, but a few of these individuals gonna end up telling, turning on each other. Money gets involved. You start turning on each other. Well, I can see it all coming.
Dudes had prior history before they put this team together. They met at a funeral wake in around 2011. Mind you, Daryl has already squandered his opportunities in the MLB. He fell into a life of crime. He's back in Inglewood hanging out with them members. And from November 2012 to May 13th, these two dudes break into 25 phone stores around the LA area, jumping through air vents and holes that they made in the wall, making off and getting popping on the commercial burglary scene. These dudes end up going down. G.I. serving time, Daryl Dent getting probation. Now they link back up while G.I.'s is still sitting down in 2014, and they think they got it all figured out and start assembling the teams based on what Daryl Dent got going on outside. He starts with what he calls tracks.
See, it's never over. You know, at one point, do you say, this not working, this life is not working, this lifestyle is not working, this culture is not working, you're already in prison, you got probation, you ran in 25 stores, you done got caught up. At what point do you say, I'm gonna turn my life, I'm gonna get married, I'm gonna have kids, I'm gonna leave all of this alone? Instead, you continue on, and now you think that you got it all figured out. No, you ain't got nothing figured out. You're gonna start making all kind of mistakes like everyone else does.
Robberies.
And then this dude is a baseball player. He's already in the league. Them baseball players make a lot of money. They be having humongous contracts. But instead, he's on the team scamming and all of this stuff and gets himself kicked off of the team. Man, you didn't have to be right. $6 million is all y'all got over a 2-year span, and this is a lot of people involved. Sounds like a lot of money. It's not when there's all of these people involved. All of this jealousy and envy comes into play. People lying and scamming you out of your portion of the money. We've seen that already in some of these other situations. You could have had $6 million in a month. You know, they're making $100 million a year. What are you doing?
So the trackstar robbery is where somebody goes into a jewelry store, tries on some jewelry, and runs out. And this is where Daryl finds himself early 2014 with an individual named Concrete from Hoover. And he got a couple dudes coming off the bench named DeAndre Johnson and Javon Walker. Their first trackstar robbery was in Century City at a store named Torno. Now, these moves didn't take a lot of planning. This was the early developmental stages of their organization. But Dent in the car with DeAndre, Concrete in the car with Javon. They send Javon Walker inside. He tries on a gold Rolex Daytona, runs out. These dudes come off with 8 racks. Now, of course, 8 racks, 4 people, they all get $2K each. Now, this is something that we've seen in the comments that many people have talked about the payout. The key thing is y'all gotta understand, nobody on the back end market is paying retail price for any stolen goods. If they was gonna pay retail, they would go to the retail store. So that's just how it is. It's a lot of work that goes into getting items off on the back end. For jewelry with gold, whether that means melting the gold down. Diamonds is, of course, a lot different. With situations like phones, you gotta make sure the phone is not carrier locked. It's a lot of steps that not only the flockers, but the buyers have to go through to get it prepped to sell it to somebody who wants to get it. This is why these dudes will come up with a Rolex worth 20, 30, 40,000 and only make 8 racks off it. So with that being said, you know these dudes were unsatisfied. This is when Daryl starts leaning on GIs as to what he should do to up his take from these moves. Now, while they planning, they still doing these trackstar robberies. Multiple bench players is being interchanged as runners. DeAndre goes down for a period of time. Dent Concrete is doing it. And they bring in a little homie from Inglewood family named Kenneth Paul, aka Brown Eyes or Lil KO. And he starts getting his hands dirty. But on August 3rd, 2014, this is when the first organized smash and grab robbery goes down at Prestige Jewelers in Manhattan Beach. So, of course, like every move, all of y'all should know, and what people should be doing before they do this, is they walk through. So Daryl Dent and DeAndre Johnson do a walkthrough of Prestige Jewelers before the move. Now, the walkthrough is to see exit plan, check security, and if you can get close enough, check inventory, which is most important. You don't want to be on a play and come back with some bullshit that you can't get off. So they do that, and they bring in the jack of all trades, J-Bone from Inglewood Families. He comes up with another bench warmer named Spook, and he wants to put eyes on it himself. It said that J-Bone is a self-thinker. He needs to put his shit together in his own way, rightfully so. So he goes on a scout mission with Spook, make sure everything is fitting before they run up in this spot. Now, there was a couple places throughout Inglewood that these dudes would continuously meet at, one of which being Animo Inglewood, the high school, another one 8431 Crenshaw Boulevard, which was Daryl Dent's house, and Spook's crib off 78th. And throughout these meetings, certain things were getting appointed. So this is where everybody's role was getting appointed to them, whether they was going to be a driver.
And the fact that the narrator here, Rap News Street Politics, again, shout out to him. He's very good, very informative, detailed, does his homework all the time. That's why I like his content. The fact that he has all of this information, though, means that the police have all of this information because someone's snitching, multiple people snitching. The fact that he knows the meeting places where these individuals were meeting up, planning out these robberies, where they went to after the robberies were done, how much money was involved, etc., means too many people are talking, and that's what happens when you deal with people when you're committing crimes. If you're going to do something, you are better off doing it by yourself. I'm not encouraging you to commit any crimes, though. I would advise you just not to commit any crimes because the technology is too advanced now. Cameras are everywhere. Eventually, you're going to be caught up. Nevertheless, if you have to get your hands dirty for some reason, you better go along.
Running up in the store, Daryl Dent's role was already played out. Again, he's an older dude. He wasn't going in the store. He's strictly waiting for the package to come back to him to sell the watches to the buyer. Now, at this time, they would also buy materials. On every play, for the most part, they were buying new gloves, new masks, new sledgehammers, new everything for the runners to use going up into the store. So all that shit was passed out, and it was decided that J-Bone and Spook were going to lead the charge into the spot. Javon Walker being the getaway driver in the stolen vehicle, and Concrete was going to be in the switch car. So a lot of the times they would use 2 to 3 vehicles, one stolen vehicle to get the runners into the location and in and out of the location. Once they got out of the location, they would take the merchandise, put it in one car, and the runners will go into a separate getaway car. Very organized play, very well thought out, and this is how they were able to sustain a run that they did. So it jumps off August 3rd, 2014. J-Bone runs inside. The female employee that was on the floor that day said she felt like J-Bone was about to crack her in the head with a sledgehammer when he came in. And they got cracking on the display cases. Now, after the robbery, a security guard that followed them in the stolen car, they ditched the car in the middle of the road, left behind the mask and the gloves inside the vehicle, and J-Bone also left his left glove and his mask at the scene. Now, when they got back to 78th, they got to separate the glass from the jewelry.
Well, that's a mistake. That's for sure a mistake. This is how not to rob. Mask, gloves, they get DNA from all of that. They get DNA from any part of your body. The technology is so advanced now. It's going to be tough. You can't leave behind anything. Gloves and hell, they can do that a long time ago. That's how they arrested OJ. But gloves and masks, they get DNA from that. That's no good.
The take ended up being $250,000, a long shot away from that lonely Daytona Rolex on them trackstar robberies. These dudes hit big, but there's always 2 parts of a play. It's cops and robbers. While they count up the loot, the cops are collecting that evidence left over at the scene. And of course, it goes into processing. Now, overall, they got 19 used Rolexes and 11 rings. And it was time to implement Daryl Dent and the buyer, an individual named Tony Gold. Now, some game on a buyer like this, you have to have rapport with your buyers. Nobody's coming up, meeting you and giving you a bunch of racks without making sure y'all business dealing is gonna be solid. Over the years, Daryl had been dealing with Tony Gold for all his little activities he was participating in. This is how you have a buyer not only willing to meet you somewhere, but bring the right amount of cash. Everything just goes smooth when you have a trusted buyer. Tony Gold is that. So everybody's scared of getting gypped. Nobody wants to lose out on their money. So Daryl Dent calls an individual named Charles Mays, who has a cargo van, and everybody piles up in it, goes to West Hollywood. The merchandise reaches Tony Gold, and the money comes back. J-Bone and Spook make 5 bands each for running into the store. Daryl Dent, Concrete, Javon Walker, and DeAndre Johnson each get 3 racks each. So if there was no funny business on the back end, if nobody was keistering funds, they made 22 racks off a $250,000 haul, which I would say is a bad return on the investment. But sometimes the game does go like this. That's just what it is. Now everything seems to quiet down.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Somebody might have been pocketing some cash right there. 22 racks? 250. Yes, we already know. The narrator has already explained that why you're going to get much less when you're hawking it on the street. Dealing with someone, you're not going to get the actual value, of course. But it's not supposed to be that much of a difference. A huge difference, yes. You're not going to get the price, but maybe half or nearly half of what it's worth. Something close to half. Shit, 20,000, 22,000 out of 250? No, that's no. Oh no, that ain't worth it. You really ain't. No, that's really not worth you risking your life. No way. 5 of y'all got to split 22,000. No.
And after this, this was a big move for these dudes. This is their first official play. After pulling some shit together like this, everybody got a little bit of money in their pocket. I'm sure they started to assess the risk and they chilled out for a little bit, Going into the mindset of doing these plays and shit, everything is moving so fast and everything is cool, especially when you got your money. But after a period of time, that adrenaline wears off and you start going through different things about if and where you messed up. It's a lot that goes on in the lifestyle of criminality. Not everything is easily digested. Even for career criminals or hardened criminals, you always got to assess your risk. Not saying that's what these dudes did, but they took a break and resurfaced exactly 1 year later to the date. August 3rd, 2015, they're in Canoga Park at Edward George Jewelers. Now, prior to this, Daryl Dent was scoping this place out. He took trips up to Canoga Park to assess the inventory as well as the guards. But this time, some of them starters was in the mix of this as well. Justin J. Stone Henning and Dominic Bones Calloway from Compton are now inserted into this move. This was before Emac from Carver hit the scene. So at the meeting, it was decided that Dominic Calloway was gonna be the one to run up in the store and play guard control. And he was gonna be accompanied by Justin Henning popping into Edward George Jewelers. They also had a random dude on this play who the paperwork referred to by the name of Johnny, and he's one of many unindicted co-conspirators on these moves. But August 3rd, 2015, they put the play in motion, and they seemingly had some growing pains with this one. Not as big as their last one, new players involved, but it still goes off without a hitch. Dominic Calloway jumps inside, puts a whole bottle of pepper spray onto the employee inside of Edward George. The employee's crawling around and they start breaking glass. On this one, they hit for 60 racks in engagement rings and watches. And similar to J-Bone on the last move, Bones Calloway dropped his blood on the scene when smashing the glass. So now we got some more cookie crumbs being left on the trail. This is just the beginning, but as we know,
those are not cookie crumbs. Those are life sentences. Those are 20 years each blood drop. That's DNA. That's conviction. That's irrefutable evidence. Why is your blood there? But of course, you run that risk when you're breaking out the glass. But they have sledgehammers. I don't know about this crew, these individuals, but we see earlier the individuals, they came in there with sledgehammers. And that's also a weapon that will scare individuals and lay individuals down there in the store You hear the lady say that she thought the dude was gonna crack her head open with the sledgehammer. So she got down. Yeah, you think people coming in there wielding a big old sledgehammer? But apparently they didn't have them here. Or maybe they still did, broke the glass, but got his hand in there and got cut up, leaking, and then left your DNA. Nope.
Usually turns out to be the beginning of the end. But like the last one, they go back, count they shit, clockwork with Tony Gold. While they working, police collected this blood sample from the smashed glass. Now again, in the same month, August 15, right after this move, they had some opportunist shit going on. They robbed somebody in the Century City Mall in Century City for their Rolex. Just some small time shit, but they went to a third play in the same month, which takes us to August 24th, 2015, Gary's Rolex Boutique in the Century City Mall. Now this is where Green Eyes, still sitting in the feds at this time, is really starting to point at the play. It said that he suggested this location and they started to put their eyes on it. Now it said that they were onto this location due to the quality of inventory and the quantity of the inventory all the way back in 2013 when Daryl Denton GIs was busting into the phone stores. But they really started focusing on it July 2015, right before the Canoga Park robbery. And this is where some more familiar faces start to pop out. Daryl Denton is in communication with Tiny Bogey, and he requests Jay Stone, Justin Henning, and Dominic Bones Calloway again. Mind you, them dudes was just on a play 3 weeks earlier. But not only does Justin Henning come with Bones Calloway, Tiny Bogey brings in an individual named Marshawn Marshall, another bench warmer who goes by the name of Junior Manchester from Inglewood Family Gangsta Bloods. One of their young homies, he was 18 at the time. Now, these dudes are sitting back and everybody's going through their credentials. Calloway spoke about another robbery that they tried to commit before the Edward George robbery in Canoga Park, where they spoke about himself, another individual from A-Track Gangsta, who I'm not gonna name because he's unindicted, and the move was unsuccessful, and another member from Inglewood Family named Jeremy Widget Tillett, who went inside with Calloway. They said they got spooked and they ran out. And this is what led Calloway to being a part of the Canoga Park robbery because he missed. Now to scout the location out, Junior Manchester, Bones Calloway, and they had another individual on this play now named Pac-Man. They scout the location out and Pac-Man takes Daryl Dent back to the location to look at it again. And they speak about dudes from BPS and what route that they plan to take. So BPS dudes was plotting on this situation as well. And Daryl decided to take a page out of the Black P. Stone's book and adopted their exit plan. And this is when another top dude comes on the scene, Stanley Baldy Ford, Inglewood neighborhood Pyru, and he's in charge of getting a weapon to handle the guard. So in all, we got Daryl Dent,
There's too many people involved. I can tell you that now. Too many people involved for money-wise. Had to split that money in that many directions. They say it's a $6 million play altogether. But so far, we they just hit a lick for $60,000, but it's multiple individuals. The biggest one was, $250 or something? Well, hell, no. That turned into $22,000. Yeah. And there's too many people involved. And for them to have all of this information, people spilled the beans. When the operation got blown up, people started talking nonstop.
Bones Calloway, Concrete again from Hoover, Tiny Bogey, Baldy, and Junior Manchester present at the meeting. Now, Bones Calloway also brings a rifle to the party for good measure. The stolen vehicle of choice on this move, Toyota Camry that Tiny Bogey and Concrete had lifted off the street right before the move, and they pressed play. So on the day of August 24th, 2015, security guard Damian Dupree, standing at 6'3", is sitting inside of Gary's Rolex Boutique in Century City when he yells, "They coming, they coming." And he tries to lock the door on these dudes. And this is when a shot is let off. These dudes bust through the door and shoot one of the glass displays. Now, Calloway is inside, Henning is inside, Marshall is driving a stolen car, Concrete in the secondary car, and Stanley Ford in the final getaway car, with everybody else sitting back waiting for the play to go green. They're in and out in less than 2 minutes, and they hit for 40 watches in total, totaling $1.6 million on their second big take in their organized plan. Now, they ditched the Camry about 70 yards from the robbery, left it with the doors open and it's still running. And inside the vehicle, they left a ski mask and a Century City Mall parking lot ticket. And again, they take these items into evidence. Now, a worker...
Why? Who does that? Why are they leaving their mask in the car every damn time someone's leaving a mask? Why? Why are you doing that? They getting DNA out of that you cannot dispute in court. You're going to have to go in there and start snitching. That's why these dudes start snitching on each other, as apparently we're going to get to, because they got you dead bang with your DNA right there because you made some foolish mistake while you were committing this crime. Now you want to start telling on everybody when you were out here doing it too. These are gang members from different hoods. We hear it. And so this is everybody. And we'll see who starts snitching, who starts pointing. It doesn't matter. Someone started snitching. They all do in these situations. That's why you can't have a crew like this. It'll never work. Cooler heads will not prevail. It'll never work.
From the store recounted an event 6 days earlier where he identified a man from a photo lineup as being Dominic Bones Calloway, who came in asking about watches. Now, remember on the last move, August 3rd, Calloway dropped his blood at the Edward George Jewelers in Canoga Park.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the mask that they left in the Camry also had a DNA match to Calloway. So you know them people wanted to talk to him. Now, Baldy from NHP calls Dent after they make the final drop, and he says everything was green. They meet again in West Hollywood to take the inventory to Tony Gold, but this time they went in the underground parking garage to try to throw off GPS. Now, I don't know about that one. I wouldn't trust it. I don't think it works, but those were the precautions that they were trying to take in this situation. They said they had been watching the news and saw some people getting caught because of the trackers. Like we said in the last video, them trackers usually be in that soft cushion in the watch that's on display underneath the watch face. So they tossed all of them cushions out and of course kept the watches. Now this is when it came time to split the bread up. The whole take off of 1.6 million, they cashed out with $310,000 August 24th, 2015 off 40 watches. Now Dent, again, he sits back, older homie. He waits for the phone call to catch the buyer.
I guess that's not that bad. 310,000 out of 1.6 million. I mean, it's not half or anywhere near half, but that's probably going to be about right on the street. Maybe 400,000, 420,000, something you can come up with. But still, we're talking about a multitude of people. Look at all the people on this list. This is a multitude of people that is splitting all of this money. Some are getting more than others. Some feel like they deserve more than others. I'm the one that staked it out. I'm the one that figured out that the store was here and put the plan together. The other one saying, I'm the one that went in there and actually put myself on the line, put my life on the line and did it. I deserve it. Trust me, all of this stuff is going on inside of these little crews. You got to be you and your best friend, your closest dog. Your brother. But really, just don't do it at all. Because all of these people splitting that money, it sounds like a lot, but it's not. And it's certainly not worth your life. And at the end of the day, they're making a myriad of mistakes. They're leaving their masks everywhere. They're leaving their DNA everywhere. They're leaving their blood. Yeah, this is not only evidence, but evidence that you cannot refute.
Takes 130 racks. Pay Junior Manchester and Baldy 15 racks each. Checks himself into the Lowe's Hotel. Starts taking pictures with the money. Another individual.
Yeah, checks himself in the hotel. Starts taking pictures with the money. So let me get this right. What? The planner, Daryl Dennis says the planner got 130,000 out of the 310. How many people we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. He get 130. Okay, let's see what else they got going on here.
who went inside named Deb. He makes off with 50 racks. Dominic
50.
Calloway makes off with 50 racks.
50.
Secondary driver Concrete, 15 racks.
15.
Tiny Bogey gets 65,000, shoots a dub to J Stone, and spends some money on a motorcycle and a bond he had to pay off. Now, J Stone was worried about Dominic Calloway because, again, Calloway keeps going inside on these moves, so they had to make sure he was paid properly. Daryl Dent, once he checks into the Lowe's Hotel, he buys a key of powder, starts busting it down, and he hightails it to the Mayweather and Andre Berto fight and moves his ass to Anaheim. These niggas was high sight. Now, the jack of all trades, J-Bone, was in New York at the time, I believe headed to Haiti. He called Dent and said the hood was talking about they move. You know, he was looking for a little chili on the back end. Dent sent them $500 for his travels, and Concrete was feeling the type of way about his cut. Mind you, he was a secondary driver, only made 15 racks off of these dudes hitting for upwards of 300,000. So he feeling the type of way, and Green Eyes instructs these dudes to give some money to his wife to take care of him while he's sitting down in the feds. Everything's lovely right now. And less than a month later, here we are, October 18, 2015, at Frederick H. Rubble in Mission Viejo. And this proved to be a pivotal point in this whole operation. Now, this same location they hit about 6 months prior with a trackstar robbery. Green Eyes was involved in that, so this is why they were familiar with this location and figured out that they can run it up again in this spot. Now, Concrete feeling...
Yeah, see? And this is where a lot of the envy, or whatever you may want to term it, comes in that. People not feeling like they got their righteous cut. I've actually been through some of this stuff before, personally, and it never ends well. They turn bitter. We've seen one of the stories, one of the situations where they were supposed to give an individual $7,000, which was nothing. They had a big take and was giving him $7,000 and did not even give him that. Gave him nothing after he went on the mission with them, went on the lick with them, and he ended up telling on everyone once they all got caught up, not justifying it, snitching and snitching. But I'm just saying that's part of the reason these individuals, they want revenge. They say, man, F these dudes, man, y'all ain't give me nothing anyway. I don't care. I'm not a part of this. And they start, you want to take care of your people. You want to give everyone what they have coming. Here you have individuals that are upset. How does one individual get 130,000 and another individual get 15 on the same lick? Damn what your role was. We all in this together. I can see someone getting more than someone else. They said that he was the planner, the one that got 130, so he planned everything out. Okay, the planner gets more. But damn it, you're not about to get 130 and not get 15 because you were the planner. But he was the driver. That's still a part of that's all of that is involved. All of that, you're a part of that crime. They pull you over. Hell, if anyone is less involved, it would be the planner who was behind the scenes planning stuff out and not necessarily getting his hands dirty. He's not driving. He's not going inside of the store. He's somewhere at the house just waiting on the word that everything went good and that he's about to get his money. And if it doesn't go good, he's still good because he's not the driver and he's not going in the place. Unless people start telling on him if they get caught up, but he never gets caught. Well, he gets 130. I understand it's his lick. I guess he planned it out, but damn not, he get 130 and I get 15. That's a big old hell to the nizzle. A big old hard no. The other planner got 65,000. Why does he get 65 and you get 130 and y'all both are planners? You planned it out better than him? Twice as good as he did, apparently? You got exactly double the money. You planned it out twice as, he got 65, you got 130. What the hell? And then somebody else got 50. They all over the place. No wonder this shit went to shambles.
Funny about the money from the last move, he removed himself and his ass quickly got back into the fold when they planned this robbery in Mission Viejo and he's ready to go. And it starts off with Tiny Bogey and Dent riding up on their new motorcycles to scout Mission Viejo out. You know they feeling good. They checking everything, and Charles Mays and Baldy also take a trip to scout everything as well. And this is where they pick the parking structure to be their place of exit on this move. Now again, them starters is on play. Tiny Bogey and J Stone are back recruiting people. And this is when they come up with Devin Snoop Howard, another player off the bench. Inglewood family, 18 years old, the young homie. He's the runner. Stanley Baldy Ford, the point man. Again, the dude that looks out, makes sure the coast is clear, and calls the green light when it's time to press play, and these dudes jump inside. They got Junior Manchester back on it. He's also going into the store with Snoop Howard. And Concrete was appointed as the final car driver to take over the backpack after the play. Again, like I said, when the play was done, jumping out of the stolen car, the backpack goes one way, the players go the other way, and it goes down. They pop up in the store. Again, another big take, 40 Rolexes and some assorted jewelry worth about $600,000, and they out of there. But this time, Junior Manchester ended up holding on to the bag and not sliding into that final getaway car, and they get the move. Now, while they escaping from the scene in a Chevy Tahoe, the stolen vehicle, a police officer involved in the situation calls an individual by the name of Ryan Stearman, a special agent with the ATF. 34 years old at the time, he's leaving an undercover job in Orange County already. His phone rang. They say it's a 211 that just went down in nearby Mission Viejo, and they said the getaway car is heading north on the 405. He hit his lights and he's on his way. Now back to Concrete and Junior Manchester. Concrete called JM and tells him he saw some vehicles that he felt were suspicious. He said he seen some cars about 20-30 minutes earlier, and he just ran into the same cars. So he tells JM to throw some of the watches out the window because he believes there's a tracker on them. And JM throws hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of watches out onto the 405 freeway. And guess who's there to pick them up? ATF Special Agent Ryan Stearman. He recovers 26 Swiss watches scattered along the shoulder, surrounded by glass and broken taillights. But nobody was caught at the scene. Now, these dudes still made a little bit of money for this. Everybody came off with about $3,000 each. Like I said, hundreds of thousands of dollars was left on the table because of the tracking devices. But some things start catching up with people. November 4th, 2015, a couple weeks after the robbery, Dominic Calloway is arrested, as well as 18-year-old Devin Snoop Howard. And the individual named Levon Tippett also went down for stealing the Tahoe that they used on the play. Now, they conducted an interview of Calloway. He said he wasn't there, of course, but they had his DNA from the August 3rd Canoga Park robbery, and they had his DNA from the August 24th Gary's Rolex robbery. So his world started to crumble, but while he goes down, an MVP is getting out the feds. December 2015, G.I.'s is released from federal custody, and this is when they really start to play ball. So the top of the new year, G.I.'s waste no time. Dent picked the location, and now, since Dominic Calloway has went down, this is when Emac from Eastside Carver steps in as the muscle. And Emac is recruited by Dent. So they put him right into the fold. Dent, Emac, Baldy, Tiny Bogey, and Charles Mays start scouting the location. Again, Baldy being the point man to call it when it's green, Emac now has the title of a grabber. Now he was looking for...
They're not getting enough money out of this stuff. That they had to drop all of the watches there on the freeway. They're just not getting enough bread. It's too many people. Now, the MVP, he said the MVP has just got out. He narrated it like it's a basketball game. They're coming off the bench, and now the MVP has just got out. And he said, well, we'll see if he's a damn MVP. And now he's setting up every damn thing. Yeah, man, no. These other dudes ain't got caught up. They didn't found their blood. They didn't found their DNA. They leaving their mask behind. They leaving their blood behind. They're in jail, but now the big dog is out. The MVP is out. Yeah, he just got out from jail. He just got out from jail. Probably an indication that he's not that great at what he's doing either.
For a job at this time, couldn't find one, ended up getting in contact with Daryl Dent and got himself a contract with the team. And on January 2nd, 2016, this is when they press play on Ben Bridge Jeweler in Santa Monica. Now, this is G.I.'s first play. He's crawling before he's walking, but he's still present. And just like the last move, they choose another Tahoe, which is starting to become an identifier to ATF Special Agent Ryan Stearman. But along with EMAC, they got some peace treaty going on.
Some more people in these damn Tahoes, huh? And now the police getting familiar with the Tahoe. Remember them dudes that was hitting the armored truck kept showing up in this big-ass white Tahoe, and they end up getting caught up because of it. Now these individuals keep pulling up in the Tahoe. What is it about these Tahoes? Now they keep pulling up in the damn Tahoe. It's too big. It's too noticeable. You're going down.
Like I told you, EMAC from Eastside Carver, they got some young dudes from Eastside Bounty Hunter Watts to run up in the store with EMAC, and they looking to win. Now, EMAC being fresh, I don't know if he didn't trust these dudes, but he employs his own driver. He said he got his own way to the skit and his own way out. So he doing his own thing, but the dudes from Bounty Hunter is recruited by none other than J Stone. But the peace treaty didn't last long between EMAC and the young dudes from Bounty Hunter. They get inside Ben Bridge, and the dudes from Bounty Hunter got spooked. They hit the glass 2 to 3 times, dropped their hammers, and ran out. They didn't create a hole big enough for a hand to fit through. The play went all bad. Now you got EMAC complaining about these dudes being amateurs. And they were, because they took the Tahoe back to the Nickerson Gardens and ended up going down in it shortly after that. Now, since they missed, 5 days later, Tiny Bogey gives Dent a pistol. He's so thirsty, he's looking to strong arm somebody. Luckily, they didn't come up with nothing because, like I said, those are some opportunist-ass crimes that end people up in the wrong positions fairly quick. But while they...
Yeah, end your ass up in prison or dead. Now you're desperate, thirsty out there. These dudes went inside of the store with the sledgehammers and got spooked, hit the glass, didn't make a big enough dent to get anything, and then ran up out of there and left everything there. They probably left masks too, gloves, got up out of there, they ran, left the sledgehammer, which they probably have DNA on, fingerprints and all this. Oh, see, this is what happens when you're doing stuff with people you don't even know, because there's some called this little crew that been put together, and is it really put together? Not the way it should be. You got this whole little crew.
Working, they had another crew separate from everybody in this situation who was seemingly watching them. Another crew hit South Coast Plaza, Orange County Mall, in the same fashion, smash and grab, getting off with 133 Rolex watches worth more than $2 million. And police find a Chevy Impala about a mile away from the scene abandoned. Again, same mask, same MO, sweatshirts. So you know what the time bandits had to do, man. They couldn't let these niggas one-up them. A couple days later, January 22nd, 2016, 4 p.m., they in Woodland Hills at Manya Jewelry. Now, this is when a popular dude in Inglewood gets into the play.
So they didn't hit the lick, or they tried to. 3 individuals didn't break the glass and ran up out of there. And they still got caught up because they traced the Tahoe back to them. Dudes from Bounty Hunter, I guess, traced it back to the Nickerson Gardens. Okay. Another crew said, y'all don't know what y'all doing. Y'all get out of the way. They went and hit the same thing. They went and hit the same store that them dudes called themselves trying to hit, but didn't do it, were not successful because they got spooked and ran out. Someone else said, move these amateurs over. We glad y'all gave us the idea. We didn't even know about this store. Good looking out. And they went and did it and got $2 million, got 130 Rolexes and got $2 million for it. Oh man, that's crazy.
A dude named Daggum, an individual that sadly lost his life, I believe on the same day Draco lost his life, where he was killed in Inglewood off La Brea in 2021. Now, Daggum had connections to GIs. GIs told Dent to take Daggum on the move because he has a clean look. Now, Daggum, a real Inglewood dude before Dent came around and all that shit, this was a young homie over there. And Daggum, because of the clean look, he's able to get closer into the store. He pops in as the scout, saying that he saw Rolexes in the spot. Now, GIs suggested that they take Daggum on the move, on the full move, but I don't think they ended up going through with that. Now, along with Daggum, Baldy, and Dent also went to scout this situation out, and Calloway, 2 months after going down with his DNA being found at 2 other robbery scenes, is back on the move, going inside. Now, because of what they seen with the security guard, they needed a weapon, but everybody was complaining about not wanting the weapon in the same whip as the jewelry and all that shit. So they had Concrete transport the firearm, and Baldy drove the players to the scene this time. Now, along with
Okay, well, if dude, they got him caught up with the DNA, and now he's out and back on the move, and they have his DNA, then we know these individuals that are involved, these are the feds. We've seen in the first case with the armored truck robberies, and if you know that the feds, they're just going to constantly build a case on you. They're going to let you out. They're going to let you continue to. They had to do for the armored truck robberies a long time ago, but they just let them stay on the street and continue to hit more robberies so that they can eventually go and arrest them and have multiple charges on them and have a strong enough case so that you're not going to get out of it. The fact that they have this individual's DNA at multiple crime scenes and have still let him out of jail to go back and do the same thing, this is deliberate, I would say, on the feds' part to just build a stronger case against him and for him to lead them to the rest of his crew. We're going to let you out. I wouldn't be surprised if they put a tracker on him somewhere. We'll just figure out in part 2. But let's see. I bet you they probably put a tracker on this individual and let this dude out because now they want access, the authorities, to his crew. They already got him. They got his DNA at 2 different crime scenes already. They're letting them go for a reason, I would think. We're going to let you go. Oh, yeah, we ain't got nothing on you, man. We're going to let the case dismiss or whatever they did. We're going to let you go. So that he can get out and do some more stuff, commit some more crimes as they watch him. And he can lead them to the whole operation. I guarantee that's what it's about. I haven't seen this. It just looks like it's headed that way. We'll see. We'll pick it up in part 2. I will do part 2 today. This one's already been going on for a very long time. We'll do part 2 today of the Inglewood family gangster bloods. Assemble a $6 million robbery team, and they go to work. As we can see, they're going to work all over the place. They're going to work everywhere. And, they seem to be a bit more organized, at least, in some of these other situations we've already covered. Some other situations I've already seen where these individuals are making all sorts of mistakes. Other than the individuals getting scared and frightened and running out of the store and never, doing the job, but perhaps leaving behind evidence, DNA, on camera, all this, helping to bring heat to the crew for nothing because you didn't get anything, you didn't do anything. Other than that hiccup, everything else, they seem to be pretty much organized or whatever, other than the fact that some people seem to be, disgruntled over the amount of money that they're receiving. And that's not going to go well, but they're making mistakes as well. No, they're leaving blood, masks. They have this individual's DNA at 2 different crime scenes, and now they didn't let him out of prison to really go, as far as I'm concerned, and get with the rest of the crew, which he immediately does. Now the MVP is out of prison. Now this other dude that got out who had his DNA at the other spot, and he goes get right back involved immediately. We'll see what happens from there in part 2. Certainly, I'm assuming it's not going to end well. They seem to be getting along fine for the most part for right now. They hit a lot of different spots. Had to hiccup at the one spot, and another crew went there and hit it and got away. But these they got a lot of different dudes from different hoods, as we can see, and they have different little crews that they didn't put together. But it just doesn't seem like they're getting a lot of money for the stuff that they're getting that's worth so much money. Their take, again, of course, it's not going to be what it is inside of the store. Brad Pitt is not coming to buy it from you. So you're not going to get the same amount. Of course, we get that. But damn, the amount that they're getting, it's like it's not even worth it between the amount of individuals it is At some points, they getting $2,000 and $3,000. Then they had to drop the watches right there on the freeway that they thought had been tracked or were being traced. Yeah, things are going bad with all of these crews. All of them end up caught up in prison, snitching on one another. A lot of time in prison or what have you. We'll see how it ended up for most of these individuals. We're going to leave it right here for right now. I'm getting back to part 2 today. Where we're leaving it at is this individual. The MVP is now out of prison, as we can see. And so is the other individual who had his DNA at 2 crime scenes already. I wouldn't even want him back on the crew. I'm not doing nothing with you. Not that you're snitching or anything like that, but they got to be watching. Why they let you out? They got your crime scene at 2K. They got to be watching you or something, man. Get away from me. Get far away from me. Don't call me on the phone. Nothing. Forget that I have ever existed is what I'm going to need you to do until we find out what the hell's going on. Why have they let you out of prison? Just to come and get right back with the crew and go on some more missions? Oh, hell to the no. I'm not trusting that. Again, not that he is doing anything wrong, but the police are certainly up to something. No way. We'll see what they're up to in part 2. Shout out to Rap News and Street Politics. Let me know what you think in the comments. Stay out of these crews and stay out of these gangs. Again, this is not to glorify this stuff. I've lived this life. I've been involved in a lot of this stuff personally. I've had experience with this, and it didn't end well for me either. Did a lot of my life in prison. This is not to glorify it, but in case you are seeing this somewhere else and have followed these sort of crews and this sort of thing that they've been doing, this is a cautionary tale, I would think, for you not to do this, because it doesn't end well for anyone in either of these stories, and they're not getting a whole lot of money. It just seems like it, and especially when they get their take from it. No way. Between all of them and everything that comes with it, all of the hatred and jealousy and envy and people being upset about what they're getting and not getting and all that, nah, man, it's too much. Let me know what you think in the comments, though. Don't go do this. Stay safe. Don't go do this. It's not worth it. There are other ways you can make money, especially now. You can make just the same amount of money without putting your life in danger and at risk. Some people get killed on these licks too. We don't talk about that part enough. A lot of people get killed on these licks. Some of these store owners, they come out shooting. Straight up, period. So you're taking a chance. It's not worth it. Stay safe and stay free. People, stay free. People.